I know I've talked about before on this channel things to consider before starting your own homeschool co-op, and maybe you're an active leader in a co-op, maybe you're participating in a co-op and want to be a leader, or maybe you're just wanting to do some homeschool days with like another homeschool family and you're wanting to do some group activities together, but you just don't know where to get started. I wanted to give you guys some simple ideas of activities you can do with your homeschool co-op or even just another friend. Hello and welcome to Mile High Homeschool. My name is Megan. I'm a second generation homeschooler and I like to make homeschooling videos and content that are hopefully encouraging to you in your journey. So first off, I just want to say you don't need to worry about making it super complicated. I think a lot of times we psych ourselves out into thinking that it needs to be this giant production and in reality, it can be really simple and still be really fun for the families that are doing it. It's really just about the thought and care that you put into it. So I'm going to share some of the ideas that we've done and then also a cool resource that I found that'll hopefully help you guys as you talk about and think about planning your homeschool things. I also want to share a resource that I found that'll hopefully be helpful to you as you plan your homeschool days. So first, I just want to share a couple activities that we've done with our homeschool co-op and maybe some simple tips of how to implement them. One of our favorites that we did was poetry and Pop-Tarts, and every family brought their favorite flavor of Pop-Tarts, and we had each kid either prepare a verse that they had memorized or could read, or even a poem if they wanted to do something that big, and they would recite it in front of the group. And everybody in the group was sitting there munching on Pop-Tarts and stuff. And so it gave the kids who were sitting something to do and stay focused. It gave the kids a chance to practice presenting and memorization, and it was a really fun day. Another cool presentation one that we did at the beginning of the year was what did you do over your summer? And so each kid prepared a short presentation of what they did with their summer. They could draw pictures, they could act it out, they could do whatever they wanted to. One little boy put together a slideshow, which was really cute. And they just shared what they did with their summer over their break since we had last met together. You can tell I really like food because on Valentine's Day, we actually did Valentine's cookies. So I made a whole bunch of frosting, a whole bunch of heart-shaped cookies, and then I had a brief presentation on the history of Valentine's Day and some funny Valentine's traditions throughout the years, and shared some photos of old Valentine's cards and how they're different from these ones and that kind of thing. And really just kind of did like sort of a history lesson and then home ec, I guess. And so we had fun decorating and the families could take their cookies home or share them with friends or whatever they wanted to do. One thing I encourage people to do is look at the holidays that are in that month and have your homeschool activity kind of play off of that. So in January of this year, we did a New Year's Around the World activity day. And so I had set up tables around the room and looked up and researched how New Year's is celebrated in different countries. And then I found a cute little passport printable and I made some little stickers. I think I still have some of them that were like the stamps of those countries. And so we had like Finland and Thailand to be like passport stamps and a whole bunch of others that were there. And so at each table, they would do an activity related to how that country celebrates New Year's. They would find the country on the map, color it in their passport, find the country on the map of their passport and mark it, draw a picture of the country's flag, add a stamp, and then draw a picture of what that activity looked like or like representing that activity. And that was really fun. We had a really good time with that. My daughter wanted to save her passport forever because of that one, which was really fun. And once again, it was simple, easy to do, easy to just like find a printable online, put together a few craft supplies. It wasn't anything that complicated. One very popular activity day that we had was a seasons tree. And so I had found a printable on Etsy or Teachers Pay Teachers or something like that. And we had different season tables set up around the room and had questions for the moms to go through with the kiddos of like, what's nature look like in this season? What are animals doing? What kind of clothes do you wear? What are safety concerns? What activities do you do? What holidays do you celebrate? Does anyone in your family have a birthday in this season? Like those kind of questions so they could sit and talk about it and help them identify it by more than just, oh, it's getting warmer, it's getting colder, or that kind of thing. Especially like if you're in a climate that pretty much stays the same temperature the whole time, like it's not like Arizona gets snow. So it's nice for them to have other ways to identify the seasons. And then the printable that they did was a tree in different stages of the seasons. And so they would color in the tree and then they glued it all together to make like a little stand that had the 4 seasons on it with that tree. And so they had something to take home. They were able to discuss it as a family. It was more like social studies and science both, a little bit of nature study kind of thing. So there's lots of subjects and topics that you can tie into one activity. It doesn't have to just be only one thing in particular. Another really popular activity day that we did that my daughter still talks about is the five senses. And so we had like things that smelled at one table, or different like salty, sweet, sour things to taste at the other table, or the way different things felt, of like, here's velvet, here's something rough like burlap, and here's sand, and so it's like people could practice feeling. And so we talked about the five senses, did stations with that. You can do local tours. A lot of times different cities and towns will have a small local museum that is more than happy to do a tour. We have a historic town hall here in our town, and they really want to do tours and they love doing stuff like that. And so I was able to connect with them over the summer and talk to them about it. And they're like, yeah, just call us, set it up. We'd love to have your group. We'd love to do it. It's totally free. And so a lot of things you can do like that are really low cost. Or maybe you can even do like nature walks or hikes, depending on what the trails are like, or if you have a state park that's close by, you can do something like that. Maybe have families bring art supplies and you do the nature walk first, and then you go have a picnic and do a nature journaling day. So there's lots of fun ideas. There's lots of creative ways. Hopefully this gave you some fun ideas and some just ways to get the ball rolling in your mind of things to look for. And one resource that I do want to shout out is Activity Days for Homeschool Groups and Families by Marsha Washburn. So I will add a link as to where you can get that in the description box, but it's full of all kinds of different ideas of things you can do as a homeschool co-op. I knew about this resource because she actually was one of the leaders in our homeschool co-op and was one of the families in our homeschool co-op. And it's funny because the pictures on the front, I actually recognized the kids on the front because they were in my classes growing up. It's my friends. And so that was actually my homeschool co-op growing up. And so a lot of the ideas she has in there, I'm like, oh, I remember doing that as a kid. And so it's a great resource though. And I got it just for our homeschool co-op. That way, if another mom wants to leave, but she's really struggling coming up with ideas, I loan her this book, and that way she's got some ways to get the ball rolling, some ways to kind of get the wheels turning in her mind of creativity and that kind of stuff. Well, I hope this was really helpful for you and gave you some good ideas. One other tip that I wanted to shout out really fast as well is I know Abby over on Rooted in Rest has a lot of videos about doing homeschool days with another family, and they'll go through a subject together for the whole year. So they'll do a history thing together and then plan activities around that history curriculum because they're doing the same history curriculum together. Or I think they've done some with like 5 in a row as well. So that's another idea that you can do. I haven't done that personally, but check out her channel and the videos on that. I'm sure those are really super helpful as well. Be sure to comment down below. What are some of your favorite activities that you've done with your homeschool co-op or with another homeschool family? Like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.